Now let's go back to the home page. I want us to touch on one more resource, try to create one more resource using one of the core services there, and we'll wrap it up for today. Okay, and what is the resource that I want us to try now? We want us to create a resource, a web application. All right, we want to create a web application, and we want to host it on Azure. As I mentioned before, that's one of the core services that Azure provides. And how do we do that? All we need to do is search for web application or app services. Once you search for it, you would see it down here. You click on app services, and it will bring you here. Okay, here you can create, build, deploy, and manage powerful web, mobile, and API applications for your employees, your customers, or just using a single backend, which is Azure, and you can build standard-based web applications. All right, using a wide range of codes. You can use a .NET. Azure allows Java, Node.js, PHP, Python, and so on. Okay. In this case, we're going to create a simple Hello World application using the app service in Azure. Okay. So I'm just going to click on create. It's simple. You can see it at the top here. We want to create a web application. All right. So we'll click on the first one, which is the web application. We'll click on that, and it would open up a similar view to when we were trying to set up a virtual machine. Okay, a very similar view. And once we get here, we already have a subscription. We created a resource group earlier when we were creating our virtual machine, so we'll use that instead of creating another one. We'll select our Azure training. We want to create a web app. We want to call it the Hello World app, so we'll just call it the Hello World app. Use, so we'll do triple P. That's it. And we want to use, we already have our code set up to create the web application. So if you have a website and you've already coded your website and you have it in Java or PHP or Python or whatever, it's fine. You can just select the code. If you have it created using Docker, this is more DevOps inclined. You can choose the Docker container. In this case, you just want to use a random Hello World website. So we're just going to do use code. I already have my Hello World site written in .NET. So under the runtime stack, you can select any of the programming, the languages that you use to create your website or your web application. In my case, I use the .NET 7. So I'm going to click that. What's the operating system that we want our web application to run on? You can select either Windows or Linux. In this case, I'm just going to go Linux. Okay, you can use any of them. It's fine. It doesn't really matter. But you choose what's best for your application at that point in time. All right. For region, I'm just going to leave it as it is. But as you know, you can always select different regions depending on where you want your web application to be accessible. Okay, we'll leave it at East US. And then we come down to the price and plan. I would leave it as it is on this. It's always good to follow the default here because it will give you the best. But you can always create a new one if you already have one set up. Okay, that's a Linux plan. For the size of our Linux machine to run this application for a web server, web app server, we could just use the random one, which is the same as our virtual machine. 8 gig memory, 2 CPUs, and 195 minimum ECU, which is fine for what we want to do. Okay. We can leave the zone redundancy. This is just for the test. All right, so we'll go to next deployment. Here, this is where we need to deploy or integrate our web application code into Azure, just so it can connect successfully and we'll be able to run our web application. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to use GitHub because I already have my web application code in GitHub. It's already there, so I just need to, import the repository into Azure. So I'm going to do enable for continuous deployment. If you have an account on GitHub, you can simply, sign in and enter this. If you don't have GitHub, it's also fine. You can just go ahead without it, and at the end, you can add your code in anyway. This is just for test, okay? Here, I already have a repository for my application, so keep it in the master branch. Do this, and we go next to networking. This is fine. I want to be able to access it over the internet. Nothing special. Go to monitoring. This is also fine. Click on tags. No need for tags. And then we go to create. Okay, so now I've added my hello world web application, and I wanted to automatically create on Azure. Okay, so it can be hosted there. And I just do next. It will create, same as it did for the Azure virtual machine. It's going to do the same thing here, create the web application for me using my code, which I had already created on GitHub. I'm just going to show you what it looks like on GitHub, so it's not like I'm talking gibberish. So this is my GitHub, okay, and this is the repository for the hello world app. Okay, so all of this are the files that I just imported into Azure to create the application that is currently deploying. Okay, so these are things that you would do. You don't necessarily have to do it. It could be the software developers in your organization who already have this set up on the GitHub or the organization GitHub. You just need to connect it to Azure, and that's it. Okay, if you're not a software developer, that's fine. Okay, now it says our deployment is complete. And what do? We go to resource just to see, our web application, a similar view to a virtual machine. We can see all the details of what we just created. We can take a look at the, the details, the plans, the operating system, Linux. It's very similar. We can set up authentication, who should access and how they should access, and all of that. You can play around with this if you are, if you want to play around with creating a web application on Azure. And yeah, we've already deployed just to see if it's going to work. Okay, but before we do that, under domains, I want us to take a look. So it would automatically create a default domain website name for you. Okay, since we called our app the Hello World app, it's going to give us a .azurewebsites.net because we are hosting our application on Azure. Okay, but in the case where your organization already has a domain name and you want everything to be, let's say, ngotraining.com, it's fine. You can always add your custom domain here and then use that instead for your website. Very easy. Okay, but in this case, this is for test, all right, which is fine. You would see here under deployment that our application successfully deployed. Okay, and we're going to take a look in a minute. It's a simple hello world application, nothing too deep in that. And how do we check to see our website? So after we have set up the web application, you can click on and it's successfully deployed. We can click on browse, which would take us to the website. So this is simply what I deployed. Very simple application. It just says hello world. It's a simple application. Just to show you how web applications actually can be set up on Azure and hosted very easy. Okay, very easily. You will see the website name here, hello world app.azurewebsite.net. As I mentioned, if you have your own domain name like ngotraining.com or john.com or whatever, you can simply add it, and it would you select that as default, and it would just say hello world at john.com or at training.com, whatever it is you want. Okay. All right. So we've successfully created the web application. As you can see, it's working fine. No issues. It was deployed successfully. You can always make changes to your application as it goes, or add more things into your GitHub, into the code, and it will just deploy continuously, very easy. And yeah, that's pretty much how you create resources on the GUI. I hope everyone understand how easy it is, but also you need to understand that each service is distinct, and you need to read up on whatever service that you require or that your organization requires, or whatever service that you want to play around with. It might be the virtual machines, it could be web applications, storages, databases, whatnot. I've shown you how to access all those services on Azure and utilize them to the best of your to provide your organization with the best service that they want. Okay, so the opportunities they are endless. I would say the services are a lot, and they're always Azure is always adding new services to allow you best apply cloud computing to your infrastructure. So everything that you can do locally, you can do on Azure very easily, very cost efficient, and very fast. Okay, you see how fast it is to create a virtual machine. You see how fast it was to create a web application. It's very quickly, very quick, very fast, and very efficient. Okay, so let's go back to PowerPoint here. I think we've been able to create our Azure account. You can play around with it. You have $200 to create resources and use them for a month. So you can play around with creating different resources, different things, and virtual machines. Just play around and just get familiar with the platform itself. And I would also suggest that you visit the link to the full Azure training on YouTube to get more in-depth knowledge of this platform, as well as try your hands with the Azure Fundamental Exam, which I'm going to show you here. So it's an Azure Fundamental Exam. It's the AZ900, just to test the skills on Microsoft Azure. It's very fundamental, it's basic. So you can try your hands on this certification after you've gone through the full training detailed in the YouTube link that was provided. Okay, for Microsoft Azure, go through it, test it, play around with it, and then you can test your skills out here. And this would be the first step to your career, with Microsoft Azure. Okay. That being said, I'm just going to go back to our PowerPoint here. And just to wrap up a few things, we've already covered the main points, which talks about the importance and capabilities of Azure, the services that it provides, the core services. And we've also looked at the platform itself and how it actually works, the services that you can get on Azure, how easy it is for you to deploy a service, to use a service, to create a resource. It's very easy. And as you go further in your career or with Microsoft Azure, you understand that not only can you do all these things that we just did over the GUI, over the console like this, you can also do it via code. You can also do it via the PowerShell. You can also do it via Terraform. You can also do it via, the CLI. So, these are opportunities, endless opportunities that you can take a look at. But those are for higher expertise. So take it one step at a time, get familiar with the console, get familiar with the services, learn how to create resources, learn how to, integrate new things into your platform. It's very easy. So here, like I said before, there are links and references to Azure documentations, tutorials, and there's also a link here that you can click on to read more and just learn more on the platform and get more conversant with Microsoft Azure. Okay, I truly encourage you to explore Azure further and take advantage of the resources that are provided. And with that, I will wrap up this particular training. So if you have any questions, do remember to send it in to the curator, and do well to answer them on a timely basis. Okay, thank you, and have a nice day.